Welcome to Dulcimoon Talks.
Where music, connection, and inspiration meet.
I'm DJ Hamouris.
And I'm Erin Mae Lewis.
Together, we're your hosts for these beautiful conversations that celebrate the vibrant women of the dulcimer community.
Since June of 2022, Dulcimoon Talks have brought you into the lives and stories of extraordinary women, leaders, teachers, producers, and artists who are shaping and sharing the art of the dulcimer in unique ways.
Our guests come from all walks of life. Many balance their passion for dulcimers with careers far outside the music world, yet they all share one thing: a deep love for the dulcimer and the joy it brings to teaching, practicing, performing, and creating.
Each episode is an intimate journey exploring personal musical paths, sources of inspiration, and the beautiful ways dulcimers weave into our lives. Think of it as the kind of meaningful conversation you'd have while sharing a meal at a festival. A mix of insight, laughter, and heartfelt connection.
Whether you're a long-time dulcimer enthusiast or just curious about this amazing world, Dulcimoon Talks are here to inspire, inform, and delight.
We release new talks twice monthly and are thrilled to have you on this journey with us. Make sure to subscribe and join the growing community as we honor the magic of dulcimers and the people who make them sing.
Dulcimoon Talks, sharing stories,
celebrating connections,
keeping the music alive.
All right. Hi, friends. This is Dulcimoon Talk number 55. I am Erin Mae, and I am delighted to be joined today by DeeDee Tibbits, who is coming to us from Michigan and is a brilliant hammer dulcimer player, which is how I've known you as a hammer dulcimer person, but also multi-instrumentalist and play a lot of different instruments. So I cannot wait to hear your whole story about your whole life. Thank you for being here, DeeDee.
You're welcome. It's a joy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, yay. So we kind of like to start with the beginning, whatever that is for you. So I think for you, it goes back to learning some music as a kid and in your family. So start wherever it feels like it makes sense to start, to tell us about how you got into music and how you found the dulcimer.
Okay, I will. It's very interesting. I only live about 40 miles from where I grew up in the very tip of the thumb of Michigan. And my dad moved up there. My mom and dad moved up there in the 40s for him to be a band director. And so he didn't start the band, but he really grew the band up in the thumb area. My mom wanted 13 children and only got 7, and I'm number 6. So we grew up, I think, learning whatever instrument my dad decided he needed in the band. So when everybody, all 7 of us, by the time we were 4, Mom had started us on piano. And we had a little band glockenspiel that we would play very early on. I have a picture of being 5, and it was our family picture that they used because our family band would travel around Michigan. And it was the picture that they had professionally taken so that they could put it in newspapers and bulletins and things like that. And there's a picture of me playing the glockenspiel. And then when I was 6 or 7, my dad started every one of us on a little tiny soprano saxophone that was about, it was about maybe 2 feet high, maybe 18 inches to 20 inches. And it was one of the instruments that we actually owned as a family, whereas my dad could rent any band instrument for $5 a month so that we could learn anything. So I started on a little soprano saxophone, which is the same fingerings as my whistles now, my Irish whistles. So that's was kind of a good background. And then by the time I was 8, I had in the junior high, before I got in the junior high band, he started me on an alto saxophone and French horn. I think he knew that by the time I got in high school, he would probably need a French horn player. So as we traveled around in our little family band, the picture I have of our family has, oh my goodness, a vibroharp and a saw. My oldest brother played a literal saw, like a violin.
Yes.
We had a tuba, my brother. We had baritones, we had clarinets, we had oboes, we had flutes, we had trumpets and trombones, and we all played and sang. Our mother was a speaker, so we would go to different, mostly churches, but sometimes historical societies and maybe Rotary clubs and community programs, even when I was little. And we would put on a whole big program. And at the churches, then we kids would do the first part of the service, and then we would sit down and our mom would stand up and speak. So I come from a family of very strong women, which is a gift. I've always thought of that as a gift.
Yeah.
And then my brothers and sisters all became excellent and doctorate degrees and master's degrees in trumpet and flute and saxophone and piano. And by the time I was 7 or 8, I was convinced I didn't have any talent because they were all so good. I didn't even think about the fact that they were 6 to 10 years older than me, that they had been practicing for a lot longer. And so when I was in high school, I discovered the ukulele from a friend of mine, and I was given one by that friend, and I taught myself how to play because I thought, well, it'd be kind of fun. Nobody in my family plays any stringed instruments, and that was the key to me. I think what it was kind of well, I'll never play piano like my sister. I'll never play trumpet like my brother. So I better find something that I can play. And I think that's when I realized that maybe I did have some talent. So ukulele led to guitar, went to college on a saxophone scholarship and a vocal scholarship, got my music education degree, and then met my wonderful husband of 50 years this month. Yes,
congratulations.
We just celebrated our 50th anniversary. Yes. And he and I started singing together and playing guitars and playing recorders and things like that. And then we started our own little family band. So it's been a long history. And when I was teaching music in the public school here in Carroll, I had a lady come to the door of my music room with a big garbage bag, and it was full. And she said, I cleaned out my grandmother's attic, and I think these are instruments, and if you don't want them, throw them away. And that was my first unique 100-year-old ukulele that's on my website, it's not on my website. It's on my YouTube channel, playing the ukulele. And that was my first unusual instrument. So then I got hooked on harps, and I didn't even at that time, I didn't play the hammer dulcimer because it was a year later that Russ and I were on Mackinac Island, and we were walking down the fudge alley where you buy all the wonderful Mackinac fudge. And I heard this instrument, and I turned to him and I said, I don't know what it is, but I have to have one. And we kept following the sound until we found a front porch of the Murray Hotel. And this wonderful musician from Detroit area was playing all summer on this front porch. And I said, what is that? He said, it's a hammer dulcimer. So that was my first link to hammer dulcimer.
Wow.
And it wasn't very long after that a music store in the Saginaw area went out of business, and the local bank was selling some of the instruments, and I got my first mountain dulcimer, and I had no idea what to do with either one of these. So thanks to a good music degree and a lot of family history of loving many instruments is when I fell in love with the dulcimers.
Wow. That's really magical.
I thought so when I look back, and I think it does sound like a fairy tale of some kind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I started playing mountain dulcimer when I was 7, and it feels so, I feel like I was so lucky that I found the thing
That early.
so early, and I just got to grow up steeped in it. And
Yes.
that's pretty special when
Yes.
it's like the music is around you. It's just a part of your being.
It is,
at
and
that
a part
point.
of your history. It is. I
Yeah.
think it's really wonderful that families that are musical just have a little bit of an edge or a little bit of a musical edge to their lives, and it just enhances your life so much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did your family have generations, or was your dad kind of the first one who got really?
No, my dad's mother was a piano teacher, and his dad was a Methodist pastor, and so my grandmother on both sides, my mom's mom played piano all her life in her little Baptist church up in Sheboygan, Michigan. Yeah. So a lot of history on both sides of the grandparents. And before that, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sweet. I bet that makes family gatherings super fun.
It really is, because we did it as a family.
Oh no, we lost DeeDee. Technical difficulties. Okay. Hang on.
Are you
She's
still
coming.
there?
I'm still here. We lost you for a second.
Okay.
So let me. Why do I not have? Okay.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, you're back on the screen.
Okay, you're frozen, but I can see you now.
We're gonna cross our fingers that our connection holds out.
Okay.
I'm still seeing and hearing you. So the last thing I heard was, yes, because we grew up as a family and we were playing music as a family, and then we didn't hear you finish your sentence. So
okay. I do have another internet thing I can turn on if I need to.
yeah, it's a little unstable at this point. So if you want to try that, we'll stand by for technical difficulties and jump back in.
Okay, I'll go get it.
Okay. This is where Erin says, technology is our friend. Technology is our friend.
Yes. There, now I'll turn our other Wi-Fi on. I was just on our hotspots on our phones.
Okay.
So maybe this will work.
See if it's a little more stable. I haven't lost you, so.
Good. Good. You're still frozen.
Uh-oh. My connection, it's looking like I have a better connection with you on my end. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to, oh, there went. Okay. Hang on. Stand by, friends. We're going to get this. Have a sip of tea. That's what I do.
I hear you.
Technology. I can hear you.
I don't see you.
I'm not seeing you yet either, so.
You're frozen, but I see you.
Okay. I am not getting your video yet.
Okay.
Let's see. If we can get it connected. Oh, okay. I see you. Am I unfrozen for you?
No.
Not
yet. You're moving at least.
Okay, and are you hearing? You're hearing my voice?
Yes.
Okay, well, as long as we can hear each other, we'll keep going.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just saying that family gatherings probably were very fun for you.
Oh yes, and I was saying that because we were doing this as a family very often. A lot of times when we would get together, we wouldn't do that except for singing together because we didn't all have our individual instruments. So actually, we sing a lot when we get together, but we don't play a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I grew up with stringed instruments, not with band instruments. So it feels like it would be a little more difficult to sort of just sit around and jam on band instruments. You kind of have to know what you're doing.
Exactly. Tubas and baritones and trombones don't go with guitars very well.
Right. So once you got your dulcimer introduction with the hammer dulcimer and the mountain dulcimer, what was your next step? Did you just sort of think, well, I know how music works and I'm going to try playing this? Or did you find people to listen to? What did you do?
I had one person in the area that even knew what a dulcimer was. And when I went to her wedding reception, Jay Round was the entertainment for her reception. And his dad was one of the Michigan builders at that time. So I ordered it in July, and I had to wait until December in order to get my first dulcimer. So I played for 4, 5, 6 hours a day after I get done teaching, and on the weekends and on snow days. I was just obsessed. And I got it in December. And then the first experience I had with other players was that July up at Everett Dulcimer Festival. The festival that is every July. And I didn't even get my dulcimer out that year because I had goofed around with it, and I had played a few little ditty tunes. But when just intrigued. So that's how I got started. And that first summer, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now I can see you. So I'll keep going. You tell me if you want me to stop.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I took a tape recorder up to Everett that first year, and I taped every jam session. And then I got real obnoxious because at the end of a song, I'd say, "What was the name of that?" And they'd say, "Smash the Windows," "Over the Waterfall," and so I would come home, and by the next year, I knew every one of those tunes because I loved them so much. But I knew I wanted to know the name of them too.
Yeah. So how did you find books that had those? Oh, she's coming and going, but we're gonna persevere.
I see you.
Okay. Here we are. Did you find books or recordings that had those tunes? How'd you learn them?
Let me see. I don't know if it was that first year. Maybe I got a record of J Round.
Okay.
And I learned every song on that record. And that was when a lot of the East Coast guys, Sam Rosetta and those guys were out. But in Michigan, we had that first year, second year at Everett, I met Webster, who were, Judy was just learning the hammer dulcimer, and Cease Webster was married to a man that was making dulcimers. So he made my second dulcimer, a Webster dulcimer. And those two women were just so influential in my playing early on. I wanted to sound just like them. And of course, Judy Morningstar has written some of the most beautiful dulcimer songs. So yeah, so those two Michigan girls were really, became good friends and were really influential in my early learning, because we were all learning, together at the same time, because we were all so young.
Will you say those names again? Judy
Morningstar, she and Cease Webster, and they were in a group called Rough Water String Band, and they would entertain up at Everett on the stage shows. And so I would record their music and just love it, just play it over and over and over again, and actually bought a couple then of their vinyl records before they had cassettes and CDs.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I just learned about Judy recently because I have a friend who doesn't play dulcimer at all, but his mom was learning to play dulcimer, and she got one of Judy's books, and my friend says it's the best tune book I've ever seen is Judy's tune book.
Judy, yes. And Linda Lowe Thompson,
yes.
Hers was the first book I got, the first brown one, and I loved it because she would give left and right, and she would give more instructions. And so teaching myself, I used that a lot as far as why would she do this way? Why would it be done that way? And it taught me a lot of the technique. I knew the music,
sure,
because I had a music degree, but I didn't know the dulcimer technique. And so that made a big difference in my learning. And I still use a lot of her books in my teaching. But Judy, for tunes, Judy Morningstar is the best. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I loved it. And she's a great friend.
Yay. Yeah, I know one of the kind of difficult transitions sometimes from like piano where the one key makes that sound and that's the only, to the hammer dulcimer where it's like there you could play this note here or over there too. It's like, how do you make these choices?
Yes, well, that's a big part of teaching is when you look at this song, and this tune has an A in it. So are you going to play A here on this side of the bridge? Or are you going to play it over here on this side of the bridge? And you only choose that kind of thing because of what key it's in and because of where it is in the song, so that it's easiest to take the hammers and not have to cross over, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it makes a difference. But that is strange because on a piano, that A is only one place in the whole keyboard.
Right. Yeah. The stringed instruments have a lot less kind of concrete sense about where do you put your finger to make that note come out.
Right, exactly. Guitar is somewhat in the same way, and dulcimer a little bit, because you can find some of those notes on the middle string or on the melody string, and sometimes even on the bass string. So yes, it does. The technique makes all the difference.
Yeah. So you started out teaching in schools. And did you stick with teaching in schools all the way through, or did at some point you transition out of that?
No, I started teaching when I got out of college. I did my student teaching here in Cairo, and I never left because I loved them. They loved me, and I had 900 children that second year I taught here. So I taught elementary music for 13 years. And then my husband and I decided that we were going to quit our jobs and go on the road singing full time. So I quit my job. He sold his business, and we bought a van, and we went on the road with my sister, and we went all over the country singing and playing. And in a typical concert or a church service, we would use 21 different instruments sometimes. So all these unique old ones that we would put on, like my ukulele and my marxophone and my zithers and things like that. I put them on. We would use them in the services, and then when we made CDs and records and cassettes, then we made sure that they were also included on those. So
that's amazing. Are there videos of you playing all of the different old instruments?
Yes, I have them all on my YouTube channel, like probably 20 different instruments. Yes. Yeah.
I must go digging.
You must go digging. I just heard from the Ukraine. One of the first things I put on my YouTube channel was Carol of the Bells, which is a Ukraine New Year's song. I just heard from Ukraine and said, thank you for playing our song, because Ukraine is in such dire straits right now because of the war. But they informed me that it was not a Christmas song when it was first originally written. It was a New Year's bell carol. And then the words got put on later and has become one of the favorite. And that has over 1 million views. So that's been kind of fun to
DeeDee, that's awesome.
I know. I got a little thing. I did it a year ago, and I got a little note from YouTube says, congratulations, you've had over 1 million views. And I went, oh, wow, that's great. But it's fun to hear from all over the world. It really is. And that's one thing YouTube can do that you can't do from your living room or your music room.
Right.
So that's been fun.
Yeah. Awesome. So how much time did you spend on the road? Were you like full-time traveling?
Yes. We did 5 concerts a year. A week. We did 5 concerts a week for probably, we were 18 years all told, full-time.
Wow.
And the last 5, 6, 7 years of that, we were doing 5 concerts a week. And that's even when we started having children. And then at the end, when our children were old enough, they were singing and playing things by age 3 and 4. And so they would be a big part of our programs. And actually, when our little 3-year-old got up on a stool and sang "Tiptoe Through the Tulips," just like Tiny Tim did it, they would steal the show. So, and now they are both musicians, one in California and one in Switzerland.
Amazing. It keeps going.
Yes.
Keep passing the music.
So we did that until the year 2000. And then we got off the road because they were in junior high and high school. And we were starting to be booked on their graduation days or their band concerts or their volleyball games. And we thought, no, family's got to come first. So we got off the road in 2000. And then I started my private studio, which I still have today. And my husband went back to banking. So he retired then 10 years ago, and I'm still teaching. I have 40 students that I teach. I teach 3 days a week. So all sorts of instruments, 7 different instruments, I think, something like that. But it's fun.
I love that. When you were doing all of that touring and playing, did you do all your own booking? Did you have a booking agent? How did you do it?
No, my sister did all the booking. Yes.
Wow.
And we never advertised, but they would hear about us and they would get our cards from another concert or something. And then my sister did all the booking. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. My sister and I traveled for 5 years together.
Oh,
And
fun.
there's a lot of logistics that goes into how you decide where you're going and how to connect the dots to all the places and
Right. And where
but
are you going to stay?
it's really magical because at this point I don't think there's a state in the US where I'm not like, oh, I have a friend there. Oh, I've stayed on somebody's couch in that place. Oh,
Isn't that wonderful? That's
yeah,
one of
it's
the
so
benefits of doing
wonderful.
that, isn't it?
And it
Really
makes
is.
it makes the world and our community seem smaller and more
Yes,
connected
yes, it
when you have
does.
those experiences of
It really does. I
it's
love
really
it.
cool.
I loved every minute of it. And I've loved every minute since, because now I teach 3 days a week. And then every once in a while I get to go to festivals. And my husband, now that he's retired, travels with me and we make an adventure out of it. So that's fun.
Yay. What does he play?
When we were on the road, he played guitar, mountain dulcimer, mandolin, and bass guitar. And he wrote most of the songs that we sang and that we recorded. And the beautiful, beautiful songs. And we
lost her again. Stand by.
So he stopped writing and played guitar for a while, and he doesn't play guitar much anymore now, but he loves to travel and be my roadie. So
sweet. Yeah, and it's nice to have a roadie when you're teaching the hammer dulcimer and you have to haul it around.
But yes, and I also play harp, so that really, it helps cart some of those big instruments around with him being my roadie. Plus it's fun to do together, and we've been in every state except for Alaska now, so we love that.
Oh, good for you. I love that. What do you have coming up? What are you looking forward to this year?
What am I looking forward to now?
Yeah, what festivals are you going to? What's coming up for
I just
you?
lost you for a second. Well,
that's okay,
the next one in 2 weeks is in the Ozarks. It's the Dulcimer Jamboree at the State Park, Ozarks State Park. So that's going to be fun. That's my first time at that festival.
You're gonna love it.
And then in July, I'm doing the festival up in Everett, Michigan again. My Celtic group is called SONAS, and we kind of have a little bit of a Celtic flavor, and then we added a guy that plays banjo, so we had to throw a little bluegrass in there too, which is really fun. And then in August, we're going to be at Midland Folk Festival. That's at the end of August in Midland, Michigan. And then in October, I'm going to the New Harmony, Indiana. It's the Chautauqua on the Wabash Festival. I get to teach and perform at. And then at the end of October, I get to do the Allegheny Gathering and teach and perform there. So I got a busy, plus I have to get over to see my grandbaby that was just born yesterday. So somewhere I got to get in there. I got to get to Switzerland.
That's right. It sounds like you have a break in June. Maybe you can go.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I might, but my husband is taking me on a 50th anniversary cruise to the British Isles. So I'll be gone 2 weeks during May and June too. So
good for you.
Yes. I'm going to take my Irish whistle, and hopefully I'm going to get a chance to play an Irish whistle in Ireland.
Oh, I hope you do get the chance to do that. Yeah. It's pretty magical. Traveling around is a really beautiful thing to have the chance to do.
It really is. And you're right. The friends you make everywhere. I mean, and you don't always are able to stay in touch, but knowing that, these people in Washington, these people in San Francisco, these people in Switzerland, and that's fun.
Yeah.
In fact, one fun thing happened in Switzerland last Christmas. we were downtown, and there was this amazing musician playing in a little tiny accordion. He didn't call it an accordion, but we would call it that. And he was so good. I said to my daughter, I said, you speak Italian, because she's getting pretty good at it, actually, because they're in the southern part where they only speak Italian.
Okay.
So I said, go up and ask him if I can play with him. And she said, Mom, are you serious? I said, yes, I want to video it for my YouTube channel. So she went up to him and asked him if I could play. And he was kind of looking at me like, can I trust that this lady knows what she's doing? He finally said, well, yes, come on over. So we went over, and he played the left hand and I played the right hand, and we did Silent Night, and we did some Christmas carols together. And that's on my YouTube channel too. But it was so fun to meet a musician I couldn't even talk to because I didn't speak his language, but music just kind of brought us together, and we laughed, and we just had a great time.
Yeah. Music is such a universal language. It transcends all of the need for translation.
Yes, it really does. And it transcends all the political stuff and all the things that we disagree on in human nature. And it really brings us together for the love of music. I love that about music. And even as you get older, you can still make music.
Right. Yes. You can start young. You can play for your whole life. You can put it down for a while and pick it back up, and it will still be there for you. You can do it with all kinds of different people. Yeah, it's really.
Yes.
Yeah.
My youngest student is 7, and my oldest student is 92.
Amazing.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
So if there's somebody watching right now who is like always wanted to play an instrument and hasn't done it, what would you tell them? What's the first thing they should do?
Wow. I would find out what kind of music do you like. If they're asking me what kind of instruments that they would want to start on, I would probably suggest the mountain dulcimer actually first, because you don't have to read music in order to play well. And then sometimes when it's young kids, I suggest a ukulele because it's small and their hands are small. But if they really love guitar music, I start them on guitar. If they really love piano, pianos, to me, I have found is harder to grab their interest real quick because it's more difficult to get enough skills to play a song that they can recognize. Where on the mountain dulcimer, it's pretty easy. And on the hammer dulcimer, if they've got a good ear, you just show them, where the key of D or G is. And then if they know Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, it's pretty easy for them to be able to follow along. But I like to find out. I have families that come that have no idea what their kids want to do. And they sit in my music room, and we get out the xylophones and the drums, and we get out the glockenspiels and the dulcimers. And then it's kind of neat to see how they all gravitate one way or another. And then you end up with 7 kids in this one family. 2 of them were in guitar. One was a ukulele because they bought one from me that I had extra. And one I'm giving the 14-year-old now, I'm giving harp lessons to. And it's just amazing. And they had no idea what they wanted to do when they first started coming for music lessons. So that's really a joy.
That's really sweet. I've done some instrument petting zoo kind of things where I set out all the different kinds of instruments at like a library or a music festival. And it's really fun because, at first the kids are just kind of like explosion of excitement and they're trying everything and they're like no way of focusing their attention. And then you'll watch and there are some kids who just keep coming back to that same instrument. And you're like, all right, Mom and Dad, are you paying attention? That's the one your kid is really clearly drawn to.
Right. And so I oftentimes will, when I see a good price on a hammer dulcimer or a mountain dulcimer or a harp, I will invest in them so that I can rent the instrument out, because you want to find out if they're really going to stay interested before they invest a lot of money in it. So that has really helped too, having an excess for the parents without having to put out thousands of dollars for beautiful instruments.
Yeah, that upfront cost.
And then you have the parents that somehow somebody got a $49.99 special on a guitar, And they said, well, you teach my child how to play this. And you think, I'm not sure on a $49.99 special, but
Yeah, I definitely have had a few instruments pass through that I'm like, that one's just a wall hanger. It's,
exactly. Yes.
I don't think I can make it playable as an instrument. And I
Right.
try, but not all of them can.
Exactly. And you hate to tell them that, but there are those instances where it's like, it might not be worth your while to try to learn how to play this one. Yeah.
So I'm always interested in people's creative process. Like, what do you do you've been playing music your whole life, a long time. How do you keep the creative spark? How do you keep something new and exciting and interesting? Like, what's your process of continuing to develop your creativity?
That's a great question. Oftentimes for me, it's because someone has seen what I do or has heard about me or knows that I love old historical instruments, and they contact me and say, will you do a program? So then I find out, is it a Christmas program? Is it the garden club? I've done that several times. Libraries have contacted me because of my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And depending on what event it is, really inspires me, because at Christmas time, how many Christmas carols can I put on how many different instruments? So that really inspires me. On the hammer dulcimer and the mountain dulcimer, I will, if I lose a special person, I will just sit down, and part of my celebrating their life is just playing. And oftentimes some of my best songs and tunes have come from that experience of just celebrating a dear friend or a relative or something. And then pretty soon it's this lovely tune. And so I'm playing it, and then I'm either recording it or writing it down quickly so that I don't forget it. And then finding a name or finding words to it. And then playing at weddings has been a big inspiration. Most of the time I have them sit in my music room and I play them what my repertoire is. And then they pick their favorites for coming in or leaving, or when the bridesmaids come in or something. And I have learned several songs that they had contacted me and said, I really want to come down the aisle with this particular piece. And I have been able to do that. Most of the time, that's kind of a dangerous thing, because it's hard to get good on a song in 2 weeks.
Yep. There's nothing like a deadline to really make you sit down and practice, though.
Exactly. So I've gotten several ideas for repertoire. Everett is probably one of the best. When I hear people play something and then I want to buy their book because it has this song in it, or one of my students, that's been a real source too. They will buy a Ruth Smith book and they'll say, I want to learn this song. And when they learn it and I teach it to them, I learn it. So
that's right. Yeah. Okay, so I have one more kind of how do you balance things question for you, because I have several students who play multiple instruments. And how do you balance time on all of the instruments? And how do you, students will say to me, I feel guilty if I'm playing this one more than that one for a while. Or how do you think about kind of managing all of your different instruments and spending enough time with all of them that you feel confident with them?
Yeah. That's a good question. Right now I have 4 students, one in particular who is a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy, and he started when he was 8. So we're going into his 4th year. So okay. And he comes and he says, okay, if we get everything done, will you take this instrument off your wall and show me how to play it? Will you do this? Will you do that? So he started on guitar, and then at school, he was given a recorder. And so then he started putting his guitar music on recorder. Then in band, he was playing saxophone. Well, then he was putting all that on. And now he's starting piano. So I let them say, here's your time. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to start on piano, guitar, recorder, saxophone? Where do you want to start? And it's kind of fun because, and then they kind of orchestrate their own what does this look like? What does my lesson look like? Where do I want to go? And then I try to bring the theory up to where they are, because the theory doesn't change no matter what instrument they want to play. So I try to apply what they learned on one instrument, not necessarily the tunes, but the theory on a different instrument, and the timing and the accents and the telling a story rather than just playing a tune.
Good. Amazing. I would love to talk to you all day, DeeDee.
This is fun.
It's really fun. I know. I've just kind of like I've been at a couple of festivals where you were also out and saw you in passing along the way, and I just hope our paths get to cross and we can have like a real good sit down and play some tunes together one of these days. I know DJ's gonna be at the Ozark Folk Center in Mountain View, and maybe I'll end up popping down for the weekend too. But yeah, I love hearing more about your story and the way that you teach. I have just noticed whenever have seen you at festivals, you're just such an enthusiastic teacher, and I can tell you love doing it. You love being around the music, and you love helping people be a part of that. So that inspires me. And it also, I started when I was young, and I'm at the point, I'm in my 30s, where I'm like, this is endless. I'm never going to run out of music to play and to learn.
That's right.
And it continues to inspire me when I see people who've kept on doing it and never run out of tunes and never run out of music to inspire you, right?
Exactly.
So it's like an endless exploration for our whole lives.
I had somebody email me on YouTube where that answered it, said, do you have the music right where I can't see it, but you have them? How do you know all these tunes? Do you have them all memorized? So it's just they're curious as to what do you do? But I say, you've been playing this long. You've got a lot of songs in there, and then just having to bring them out and then to arrange them and then to share them with other people. It's just a joy. I can't imagine doing anything more fun.
Yay. Me too.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
You're so welcome. It's been a joy.
And I'm certainly going to go check out your YouTube channel and check out all of the videos that you have made. And we will add some links into the YouTube for some of the resources that you've named as well. And
wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And if you're anywhere near Michigan, you got to go take lessons from DeeDee.
There you go. And hopefully we'll have some openings. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Hope to meet you soon, Erin.
Likewise. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. We did it.
Yay! I can't believe, and now I can